Welcome back to step 3, the third F in our 4 Fs, our 4-step process for overcoming fear, frustration, and past failures to get a skill that your gymnast needs for season. If you haven't watched the first 2, you're gonna need to watch those. They only make sense in order. But let's jump in to find the facts. So one of the things that I talked about is that at the source of your gymnast feeling of fear or frustration is a thought that she's thinking. And so one of the things that we take action out of where we're placing our attention. So if you're placing your attention on this fearful thought, then you take action out of the fear. And so one of the things that we want to do is help her place her attention in a different spot. So we kind of talked to him about it's like a flashlight, like you have a flashlight on your head. Now, all this other stuff is still there. It hasn't gone away. So the fear is still there. But instead of placing your flashlight and looking just at the fear, now we're going to place our flashlight and look at something else instead. So here's the main concept of the find the facts. The what if thoughts that your gymnast is thinking about and placing her focus on are not the facts. They're just her fears and worries. And I even like to say it's her brain asking. She thinks it's her brain warning her, like, well, what if you fall? And it's actually just her brain asking, what if we fall? I like to think about that part of our brain like a little kid, and it's just like, I don't know, tell me what. What if this happens? What if this happens? How are you going to keep me safe? And so the first part is helping her answer. So now what we're going to do is we're really going to answer those what ifs. And then like kind of is this realistic? So an example is like your gymnast might be thinking, well, what if I land on my head? And so if she's doing a backwards flip, in order to land on her head, she actually has to stop her backward momentum midair and go straight down. It's actually quite difficult to do. There's skills that you do that where you like jump backwards and land on your hands and hold it in a handstand, and it's much harder to do than an actual like back handspring. And so stopping your rotation mid-air is something you have to do intentionally, and it's quite difficult. And so, when your gymnast is like, well, what if I land on my head? Like helping her think through that. That's one of the things we kind of walk through. Okay, we take a little, gymnastics doll, and we're like, is that realistic that you're actually going to land on your head? Or you're probably going to keep going and land on your feet beside the beam. Like, oh yeah, I'm probably going to land on my feet beside the beam. So some of it is just examining, is this fact actually true? But then the other things we like to do is we have them examine the facts of if they're prepared. Have you done this? Have you done the progressions you need to do this skill? Are you strong enough to do this skill? Are you flexible enough to do this skill? Like, let's say it's a release on bars. Do you know how to let go? Do you know how to re-grab? Like just going through each piece of it and helping them find the facts of what's actually true. Now, I'm going to stop right here and say, we love to give this information to parents. And if you have a relationship with your kid where you can walk her through this, go for it. But a lot of times with kids, like when moms and coaches try to walk them through this, there's just a lot of eye rolling. Versus when they do it with a trained professional, with a coach, they are in a different headspace. And a big part of that is just because, kids really want to please their parents, even though as teenagers, I know it doesn't feel like it, but they are wired to please their caregivers in order to help them stay safe. And so there's just a defense there of like not wanting to let you down, not wanting to feel embarrassed in front of you that's not there. So we actually do a course on this that we're going to give you the potential access to a little bit later on. If you'd rather us walk your gymnast through these things, but it's really helpful for you to know what we're doing so that you can support it in the questions. So you can say things like, well, what are the what ifs your brain's going to give you? Now, I do want to say this step is only helpful to do after you've done the first 2. When you try to get to the facts, but that feeling of fear is still like overtaking everything, your brain can't focus on the facts. It's focused on the what if. So you got to first identify face the fear or face the feeling, feel the feeling, and then you can move on to the step of finding the facts. But so I like just to push them through, how are they prepared? What have they done to get here? Are they capable of doing this skill? Um, are they safe doing this? Are they doing it in an environment in which they're safe? What is the worst that can happen? A lot of times they're like, well, what if I get hurt? And I'm like, okay, well, where are you doing this? They're like, well, I'm in the pit. I'm like, okay, well, how are you going to get hurt in the pit? I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I am. Like, yeah, I kind of forgot about that. And so just helping them walk through what we do with them in this step of finding the facts is helping them refocus on what they are prepared for, and then refocus. The last part is on what they need to actually do to do the skill correctly. So what does their body physically need to do so that they can focus their brain on directing their body in what it needs to do. And we're going to go into that in our next video. And so hope to see you there.